When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
There's a good chance you're dealing with a middleman, like me, when you get your medicines. That's because PBMs and insurers are often the same company. We even own big chain pharmacies and are buying your doctor's office. We decide what medicines you can get, where you get them, and how much you pay. It's a win-win. For me.
When middlemen own it all, you lose. Visit phrma.org/middlemen to learn more. Paid for by Pharma.
Slow Burn Media, Evergreen Podcasts, and Killer Podcast presents Who Killed, a podcast that provides a voice for the voiceless. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Who Killed. I am your host, Bill Huffman, and this is a Slow Burn Media, Evergreen Podcast, and Killer Podcast production. This week is just kind of a hybrid of the latest information on the identities of the woman known as Peaches and Baby Doe from the Gilgo 4 case. And there was actually a press conference this week. I do plan on having Jesse Pollock back on next week to discuss all the latest information, but it is good to know that authorities on Long Island have identified the woman long associated with the murders as Tanya Denise Jackson, a U.S. veteran who was living in Brooklyn at the time of her death in 1997. Jackson was also known as Peaches, and she was born in Alabama. Now, she was known as Peaches because of the tattoo that was on her body. Her remains were discovered in June of 97, concealed in a container in a wooded area of Hempstead Lake State Park. DNA analysis later conducted and determined that the remains of the female child were linked to Miss Jackson. So that child has been identified as Tatiana Marie Dykes, formerly known as Baby Doe. So big information, big day for DNA. Othram was a huge part of helping them identify the victim and the daughter. So this is a huge step in this case, and hopefully this will, bring some closure to some families. And again, kudos to those investigators that have stuck to this case and stuck to finding out the identities of these victims, because nothing worse than having no name, and that is just the way it is. I mean, if you're not known, then you're not able to properly bury somebody. So I'm happy for the families. I'm happy for the investigators, and I am going to let you listen to the press conference where they break down how they figured out who this was and the processes they took. Enjoy the press conference.
My name is Detective Lieutenant Scott Skronecki from the Public Information Office. We are here today to discuss updates on a 1997 homicide case. We have some of our friends in law enforcement here today to speak with you. You'll hear from the Police Commissioner, Patrick Ryder, the Nassau County District Attorney, Ann Donnelly. From the FBI, we have the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office, Chris Rea, as well as the Special Agent in charge of the New York Criminal Division, Leslie Bakshies. To provide some details about the investigation, you'll hear from the commanding officer of the homicide squad, Detective Captain Stephen Fitzpatrick. Commissioner?
So good morning, everybody. I'm going to be really brief. First of all, I have to thank our partners, our district attorney who's done a great job, Suffolk County who's worked with us, the FBI who's done great work with us. We're not here if we're not working together as a team. That's the most important part. We just left the county exec's office. He got a full briefing on everything, so everybody is up to date on where we are, and you will get the information that we have here. My one announcement here today is the any information leading to an arrest and hopefully a conviction of the person that did these horrendous acts. We are offering a $25,000 Crime Stoppers Award. So please, anybody with information, after you hear it from Detective Captain Fitz, please give us any information you have. There's a $25,000 Crime Stoppers reward. I'm now going to turn it over to the district attorney.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you also to the FBI who has helped us so much in this investigation, the Suffolk County Police Department. Today is a bittersweet day. Today, after decades, we are finally going to be able to tell you the identities of two victims back from 1997. The mother's name was Tanya. The baby's name was Tatiana. You'll get more detailed information on their identities from Captain Fitzpatrick. The reality is, our work has just begun. Knowing the identities of the mom and the little baby is just a first step to help us get to solving these murders. Having their identities helps us now say to the public, please, if you knew Tanya, if you worked with her, if you met her at the grocery store, you had an interaction with her, please contact us and let us know. Every little thing we can find out about her leading up to her death will help us to solve this horrific, horrific crime. We stand here together, as the Commissioner said. If it wasn't for our partners, we would never have gotten to this moment. We want to find out more about who they are and where they were and where they were coming from. My office is ready. My cold case unit and homicide prosecutors have worked alongside the Nassau County Police Department, the Suffolk Police Department, the FBI, to get us to this day. For the past few years, my prosecutors have helped piece together unsolved homicides and identify perpetrators. That work included prosecuting a known serial killer we connected with a more than 50-year-old homicide in one of the oldest DNA cases in the county. Solving aging cases like these are extraordinarily challenging, especially as evidence and people's memories fade in time. But we will never give up. We will never give up. Not on an unsolved homicide, not on Tanya and Tatiana. We will follow every lead. We will pull at every thread until we can get justice for this mother and this child. Tremendous work has been done already to get us to this point. I look forward to continuing this partnership and determining what happened to Tanya and Tatiana. Thank you.
All right, good morning. I'm Christopher Rea, the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office. I first want to start by thanking the DA as well as the Police Commissioner in allowing us to be part of this press conference today, as well as being able to share our role as an assisting agency in this matter. It's an honor here to be in the presence with the Commissioner and the DA and the other law enforcement entities that work this case as we announce our joint role in working to identify Tanya and Tatiana. I hope today's announcement brings a sense of peace to their family and loved ones. I must first thank the persistent efforts of Nassau County Police Department. Their tireless work to ensure Tanya and Tatiana were not forgotten. And it's the reason we are all here today. This announcement highlights law enforcement partnerships at their finest. Investigators who were unwilling to yield and accept what may have seemed like a dead end but instead sought new avenues to find answers. By inviting the FBI to help in this case, we were able to contribute new and innovative resources to the table in the form of our immensely skilled investigative genetic genealogy, or IGG team. You may have heard a lot about these teams recently in several cold cases across the country. The IGG team combines crime scene DNA with traditional genealogy research and historical records to generate leads to identify unknown DNA, which is what happened in this particular case. The meticulous work of our team, in partnership with the determined efforts of the detectives from the Nassau County Homicide Squad, ultimately helped confirm the identities of our victims in the case. I'd also like to thank the Suffolk County Police Department, both the Nassau and Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, the Nassau County Medical Examiner's Office, and the Suffolk County Crime Lab for their invaluable partnership and assistance in this investigation. This sharing of information and techniques demonstrates a crucial role of long-ship partnerships. Quite simply, this case would still be unknown victims had these partnerships not exist. Today, there is nothing we can't do. The FBI, as you've heard the director state many times, has a long memory, and we will always seek justice for victims, no matter how much time has passed. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here today to help us in this pursuit for justice. As you see up on the screens right now is the infamous tattoo of the peaches. Today we'd like to provide an update on these identities of the two homicide victims who have historically been referred to by the nicknames Peaches and Baby Doe. The first victim was an African-American female. She was located over 27 years ago. On June 28, 1997, her torso was found in the Hempstead Lake State Park, which is located within Lakeview, New York. This victim had the tattoo you see up on the screen on her chest. It's a heart-shaped peach with a bite out of it with a drop coming from it. Based on this tattoo, the victim has commonly been referred to as Peaches. The second victim was Baby Doe. Baby Doe was the second victim discovered just over 14 years ago. On April 11th, 2011, she was found near Ocean Parkway in Babylon, New York, and has been included with the Gilgo Beach murders. This victim was a toddler. She was believed to be 2 years old at the time. She's been referred again as Baby Doe. In 2015, the victims were linked. Through DNA analysis, Peaches was identified as the mother for Baby Doe. Although we linked them together as mother and daughter, we still did not know their identities. In 2020, the FBI assisted us, and the DNA was turned over to their team. They began their investigative genetic genealogy studies, which would eventually lead to the identifications of these victims. Agents and detectives subsequently interviewed family members and obtained DNA samples to confirm the identities through our Nassau County Crime Lab. As a result of this technology, the interviews, the further DNA testing, and analysis, we can now provide the names to both victims. Tanya is Tanya Denise Jackson. Tanya was born on October 22nd, 1970 in Alabama. When she was found in 1997, Tanya was 26 years old and a single mother. She was a U.S. Army veteran, as you see her in her fatigues. She was living in Brooklyn, New York. And at the time, she drove a 1991 Geo Storm color black. This is her daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes. Tatiana Marie Dykes was born March 17, 1995 in Texas. She was a 2-year-old female, and again, the body was discovered along Ocean Parkway in Babylon, Gilgo Beach area. Again, in 2015, she was linked to her mother through DNA analysis. This is both of them as they appeared back then. As the DA said, now we're asking for your help to get the word out to the public in our continued efforts to seek justice for Tanya and Tatiana. Please take a look at these photos. This is how they are in 1997. The next photos I'll show you is the jewelry that they were both wearing at the time their bodies were found. Also, the vehicle I mentioned that is similar to the one that Tanya owned. This is Tanya's jewelry. These are bracelets that she was wearing at the time. This is Tatiana's jewelry, pair of earrings and a necklace. The aspects are front and side views of them. It's not multiple earrings. It's just the one pair. This is a Geostorm that's similar to the car that Tanya owned and drove in 1997. Obviously, this is not the actual car. This is all the above photos you just saw. We now ask you again for the public's help. Please share any interactions you may have had with Tanya or Tatiana. Through our investigation, we've learned a lot about them, and as the DA says, we always want to learn more. More about Tanya Denise Jackson. There's some further information that might help people in the public to recall an encounter with her. Again, she was born October 22nd, 1970 in Alabama. She's also associated with Georgia, Texas, and Missouri. She's a U.S. Army veteran. In 1997, she was living at 230 54th Street in Brooklyn, New York. She was possibly employed at a doctor's office in a medical assistant capacity while living in Brooklyn. While she would go to work, it's reported to us that there might have been a female friend or neighbor who would watch the baby when she went to work. Tanya drove the 91 Geostorm. Tanya served honorably in the U.S. Army from July of 1993 to February of 1995 in the following military installations: Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas; Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia; Fort Leonard Wood in the Missouri Ozarks. Anybody that was in the military that might have served with her and remembers her, please get in contact with us. Did you serve with her in the military? Were you a neighbor or a co-worker during her time here in Brooklyn? Maybe you saw them at a medical appointment where she worked or were her friend. We want to hear from you. Now, although Tanya and Tatiana have commonly been linked to the Gilgo Beach serial killings because the timing and locations of their recovered remains, we are not discounting the possibility that their cases are unrelated from that investigation. Speculation and theories by people on the internet should not be brought into this. As this investigation moves forward, we will continue to work closely with all our law enforcement, local and federal agencies to move forward, including Suffolk County. We'd like to thank all the agencies for all their help, for being here today, to ensuring that we could get to this point. This has been a culmination of a lot of work, as the district attorney said, for many different people over the years, retired detectives that still show interest, that call and tell us about things. We never gave up on striving for justice for either Tanya or Tatiana, and we will not. But we know there's more work to be done, and we're determined to find the reasons and circumstances that led to their untimely deaths. If you have any information, please reach out to us directly or through the Crime Stoppers number you will see soon. In conclusion, there's some people we'd like to thank. First of all, we'd like to thank the Crime Stoppers Board for their generosity of increasing the reward to $25,000. Next, a special thanks to the Nassau County crime victims and Douglas Matthey of Horton Matthey Funeral Home in Greenport, New York. Through their time and generosity, they helped us to make it possible to reunite Tanya and Tatiana and have them laid to rest back home in Alabama with their family in full military honors. Again, this is Tanya and Tatiana. We will not discuss evidence. We will not discuss suspects. We will not discuss any facts of this case. We're just giving information at this time and seeking feedback and information of people that knew them. But I will open it up to questions.
When did you identify them?
So, back in 2020, we gave our DNA sample to the FBI. They started their work, which was long and tedious. Their research is, if you knew how much it took, it's incredible, the work that they put in. In 2022, I believe they came up with an identification they believe might be the two. In 23, we had a meeting with the FBI where they revealed their information to us, and we immediately started traveling to gather DNA samples, interview the family. And in early 24, we positively identified them as Tanya and Tatiana.
Have you identified the father of the child?
We have identified the father. We have spoken to him, and he's been cooperative.
Is he considered a person of interest?
I wouldn't even say that if it was true.
Did the father report them missing?
He did not. So she was, Tanya's relationship with a lot of people, unfortunately, was estranged. Even her family, she was estranged from. So there came a long time when she wasn't reported missing by people. And she was traveling with the military and such, so that made it possible for that to happen.
I guess that the father and Tanya were not living together because he's so close.
They were not living together.
Can you tell us why it took a year to announce to us that they've been identified?
We had 27 years of catching up to do. The needs of the investigation dictated that we withhold that information until we talked to the family, settled their remains, and put them laid to rest.
When did that funeral service happen?
Within the last month or two.
Sorry.
Could you tell us exactly where she was located?
I'm sorry?
Could you tell us exactly where she was located?
Who are you speaking to?
Peaches and
Peaches' torso was found in Hempstead Lake Park in Lakeview, and the toddler was found in the easternmost point of Ocean Parkway.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to have a press release going out with their names within the hour.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will
Thank
the
you.
photos be included in the press release?
Scott.
Photos being a press release?
Yes.
Yes.
Just one.
Reacted to the resolution.
How did that?
What happened? Hold on.
27 years, they
Wait.
peace came to them.
Still get it. I got them right here, boss. Which one?
All right, just wrapping up that bombshell of a press conference identifying who was known as Peaches for a very long time once her body was found. Peaches is now identified as Tanya Denise Jackson. She is the mom of the toddler that has been linked, maybe speculatively, to the Gilgo Beach investigation.
That's right. And the toddler was also identified as Tatiana Marie Dykes, discovered 14 years ago near Ocean Parkway, a toddler believed to be just 2 years old at the time.
Very interesting that police almost stopped short of saying that this may not be a part of the Gilgo investigation. They also made it a point to say that. That wasn't from a question.
Right.
They made it a point to come out and say they are looking for whoever did this, even putting out a $25,000 reward.
And to hear about Tanya's military history, as she served in the U.S. Army for 2 years at multiple different stations in the United States. They are hoping that someone may have served with her, may have known her during that time period. Maybe there's a shred of information or evidence here or there that could help them generate a new lead as to who's behind her death.
Also, just relating to the Gilgo investigation, such widely different characteristics than the victims of Rex Uerman.
Yeah.
So obviously, there is still an investigation going on. The IDs were made well over a year ago. Detective Captain Fitzpatrick said that he wanted to make sure that they got a proper funeral with their family, and they did so about a month ago.
And you heard about the work that was done to get to the point where they could make the positive ID, working with the FBI, combining DNA evidence with genealogy records over the course of years to be able to get to that point.
Nearly 28 years now, they are being able to identify these two people, Tanya and Tatiana, commonly known as Peaches and Baby Doe, now identified. We're going to have much more on this throughout the day. This has been breaking news here on News 12 Long Island. Continuing this breaking news, we now know the identity of a woman whose remains were found nearly 30 years ago and her toddler daughter, who was found near the Gilgo Beach victims.
Nassau police just made that announcement moments ago. Let's go to police headquarters there. News 12 Jonathan Gordon is in Mineola right now with the very latest on this. Jonathan, big revelations, a very big announcement taking place again just moments ago.
Yeah, Rich, Aaron, certainly a bittersweet moment in this case. On one hand, you do have the identification of these two victims that have been pretty much unknown, just relegated to the nickname Peaches and Baby Doe for so many years. But at the same time, police still looking for the person they believe is responsible. What we know so far from police who just told us, the mother that was found back in '97, Tanya Denise Jackson, 26 years old. She was an Army veteran, a single single mother who was living in Brooklyn at the time, and they've now identified as well the daughter, the 2-year-old Tatiana Marie Dykes. Back several years ago, police were able to actually use their own DNA technology to link the two together, and they were able to prove that they were related, and at the time they believed that they were mother and daughter, even though they were found at 2 separate locations. Now, when they turned over DNA, Nassau County Police did, over to the FBI as part of a joint investigation, they were then able to connect the two 100%, as well as identify them as well in this case as their names that we know now for the very first time. As we've taken you back, partial remains of Tanya were found back stuffed into a container in a wooded area at Hempstead Lake State Park in June of '97. DNA evidence actually used during the Gilgo investigation linked her to the remains of that child, which was Tatiana, back in the end of, by the Ocean Parkway near Cedar Beach in 2011. A week later, investigators then did find more of Tanya's body several miles away back over at Jones Beach. It has taken a long time for officials to really get all of this together. They have had to work with family. They have had to travel across the country to try and get everyone together to try and identify positively who these individuals are. And now they say that they do. They will say right now that despite the timing and location, they are not 100% sure they are connected to the Gilgo Beach investigation, but they are still continuing to investigate motives and for a suspect in this case. Officials just moments ago saying that they will continue to fight until there's justice in this long-standing case that has remained cold for so long.
We never gave up on striving for justice for either Tanya or Tatiana, and we will not. But we know there's more work to be done, and we're determined to find the reasons and circumstances that led to their untimely deaths.
Yeah, again, and now at this point, officials are offering a $25,000 reward for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the person they believe is responsible for it in these 2 deaths in this case. We will have much more throughout the rest of the day. We'll send it back to you 2 for now.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of Who Killed the Presser of the Week. Again, this was a huge moment in the Gilgo Fork investigation with this identification. And again, I will have Jesse Pollock on next week to discuss the latest, as we had just been talking about this case last week. So thank you again for tuning in, and look forward to next week's episode with Jesse Pollock. And in the meantime, check out his new book, Room 100, the Sid Vicious and Nancy case. And it's very available wherever you can get books. So check it out. And as always, until next time, stay healthy and be safe.